Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. In this video, let us continue our study on the one more division of plantae, that is angiosperms. Yes, in this lesson, we have completed our discussion on algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes and gymnosperms. We have left with the one more division of plantae, that is angiosperms. What kind of plants are present in the angiosperms? So here in the previous divisions of plantae, we have seen each of the division consists of unique type of plants. So we have seen gymnosperms are called as conifers because all plants bear cones during the reproduction, and we understood that pterophytes are called as first land vascular plants, and also we have seen bryophytes. They were called as amphibians of plant kingdom. So each and every division consists of unique type of plants. So in a similar way, angiosperms consist of the plants. Here all plants bears flowers. So flowers are the fascinating organ, can be seen in all plants belong to this category. So because of this, angiosperms are commonly called as flowering plants. So the plants, all plants coming under this category are flowering plants. They produces flowers. So varieties of flowers we can see. So we have observed, right, number of flowering plants around us. So all the flowering plants are actually comes under the category angiosperms. So why the angiosperms produces flowers? What is the reason? So in the gymnosperms we have seen they produces cones during their reproduction. So in the similar way, angiospermic plants produces flowers during the time of reproduction. That means in order to multiply their number, in order to increase their number, plant produces flowers. So flowers are actual structures. They consist of reproductive organs. So reproductive organs are actually present in the flowers. Understood? So that the flower bearing plants are named as angiospermic plant. So what are the reproductive structures can be seen in the flower? So it consists of ovules. So ovules are the female reproductive structure. They are developed in the specialized structure called flowers. And if the flower is bisexual flower, we can also find the presence of stamens. So that flowers are the structure, they are meant for the reproduction. They consist of male as well as female reproductive structure. Understood, right? So ovule is a female reproductive structure and stamen as a male reproductive structure. And we can see children's here, ovules are covered by ovary. So ovary we have not observed in the gymnosperms, right? But in the angiosperms, we can find the presence of ovary. So ovary is a protective structure that encloses ovule. Understood? So that is why angiosperms are called as little advanced plants compared to gymnosperm. This is only one character. Because of this, we can consider this group of plant as an advanced plant. There are few more other reasons are there. So because of those reasons, we are considering angiospermic plants are well advanced plant in the plantae kingdom. And what is the habitat of angiosperms? Where they will grow? Angiospermic plants occurring in wide range of habitat. So they are not restricted to only terrestrial habitat or only aquatic habitat. They can be seen in varieties of habitat, that means in wide range of habitat. They can survive in desert. Some species of angiosperm can live in water. Some can live in extreme cold condition, environmental condition. So like this, in different habitat, we can see different members of angiosperms. So that make us to think uh, they are advanced plant in their adaptation. So how they can survive in different range of habitat? Because they have the ability to survive by adopting to that particular environment. You take the example of mm, cactus plant. Cactus is the best example of xeric plant. So in the xeric environment, we know water available water is very less to the plant. So in order to survive there, plant need to adapt. That means um, its plant, its leaf showing adaptation, its stem showing adaptation to survive in that particular environment. Those adaptations actually making the plant to survive in that xeric environment. Clear? In a similar way, you take lotus. Lotus is a aquatic plant, aquatic angiosperm. So in the aquatic habitat, uh, in order to survive there, the plant is showing some of the adaptation. So without adaptation, the plant can't survive there. Clear? So like that, each species are showing its own kind of adaptation to survive in that particular environmental condition. Clear? So because of that ability, angiospermic plants occur in wide range of habitat. Clear? And we can also see the varied size in the different members of angiospermic plant. We can't say that all angiospermic plants are tall trees, not like that. So we have very smallest angiospermic plant, that is Ulfia. So Ulfia is the example of smallest angiospermic plant, and we can also see tall tree like eucalyptus. So eucalyptus is tall tree, it grow nearly 100-meter long. So this is the eucalyptus plant and this is the Ulfia. So Ulfia is actually aquatic plant. This is very smallest angiospermic plants. So if we see the examples like this, that means if you compare the Ulfia plant with the eucalyptus plant, we can come to know that size of the plant in angiosperms not same. So they differ in size. So here we can see the smallest plant like Ulfia, as well as we have tall trees like eucalyptus. So that they greatly vary in their size also. So like how they differ, how they occur in wide range of habitat, in the same way the size of plant is not same in the different kinds of angiospermic plant. So size also varies, depends on the kind of species. And based on certain characteristic features, angiospermic plants are broadly classified into two classes. So based on few characteristic features, angiosperms are divided into two classes. So even though we have flowering plants in the angiospermic category, based on certain characteristic features, they are divided into two classes. So those are nothing but dicotyledonous plant and monocotyledonous plant. So these two are the classes of angiosperms. So we can see the diagram here. So the first plant what you are observing on the screen is the example of dicotyledonous plant, and the second plant is comes under the monocotyledonous plant. So by just looking into the diagram, we can observe some of the differences. So those are nothing but the morphological characteristic feature. That means just by observing the plant, we can come to know certain differences in them. What are those differences? What are the differences we have between dicotyledonous plants and monocotyledonous plants? So let us have a look into that. So dicotyledonous plant consists of cotyledon in the seed. What is the number of cotyledons in the dicotyledonous? 2. So in the name itself we can understand. Di is nothing but how much? 2. So the seeds having 2 cotyledons in the dicotyledonous plant. But if we take the monocotyledonous plant, seed consists of only one cotyledon. So because of the presence of one cotyledon, they are named as monocotyledonous plant, because the seeds in dicotyledonous plant consist of two cotyledons, they are named as dicotyledonous plants. Understood? What is the function of cotyledons? Where the cotyledon is present? So cotyledon is actually present within the seed. So cotyledon stores food material. Clear, right? And other than this, we can also observe few other morphological differences between dicot and monocot. So one of that is leaf. So leaves in the dicot plant shows reticulate venation. So the venation is nothing but the arrangement of veins and veinlets. So if you take any of the dicot plant, the best example I will give you, hibiscus plant. So just you take the leaf of hibiscus plant, you can observe the presence of veins and veinlets on the leaf lamina. Clear? So those are arranged in the form of network. So because of that, the leaf venation is called as reticulate venation. So you will study about the venation in your next chapter. So here just you understand, in the dicot plant, the leaves are showing reticulate venation. Clear? And if you take the monocotyledonous plant, leaf showing the arrangement of parallel veins. So the veins are arranged very parallel with one another in the leaves, so that the venation in the monocotyledonal leaf is parallel venation. So the best example is maize plant. Maize plant is a kind of monocotyledonous plant. So the kind of venation in the monocot plant is parallel venation. Clear? So this is the one more difference between dicot and monocot. And if we look into the flowers, dicot plants are showing somewhat difference compared to the monocot plant. What is the difference? So in the dicot flower, the petals, number of petals are restricted to either 4 or 5. Clear? So that the flowers in the dicot plant called as tetramerous or pentamerous. Either they are tetramerous flowers or they form pentamerous flowers. But in case of monocotyledonous, there is no tetramerous and pentamerous, because in one oral the flower shows the presence of only 3 petals. So because of the appearance of 3 petals in one oral, the monocotyledonous flowers are named as trimerous flowers. Understood? And the one more difference between monocot and dicot is the root in the dicot plant is taproot system. But in the monocot plant, the root is fibrous root system. Clear? So these are the few differences what we can see between monocot and dicot plant. So these are just the morphological differences. That means for external appearance we could make out these differences, and they also have some of the anatomical differences. That means the kind of tissues are also different in the dicot and monocot, that we will study in the further chapters. Clear, right? So this is regarding the classification of angiosperm, further classification of angiosperm. Understood? This is very important, children, for the point of examination. So they will ask you to list the differences between dicotyledonous and monocotyledonous plants. So just you remember, you have the morphological differences here. Only for external appearance, what are the difference we could find out, those differences I have listed here. Yes? Yes, children, I have one question for you. How actually we can grow the angiospermic plant? You can take the example of rice, ragi plant, or you can also take the example of sunflower plant. How we can grow the plant initially? What we need to grow the plant? Yes, seed is very essential. So we plant the seed into the soil, and later the seed develops into plantlet. Clear? So let us now understand how the germination of seed takes place in angiosperm, because the seed is the reproductive structure. It develops into the future plant. And what is there in the seed in order to form plant? So seed is the structure, it encloses embryo. So embryo is actually present within the seed. That embryo in the future develops into a new plantlet. That means embryo give rise to new plantlet. So when you plant the seed into the soil, the germination actually begins. So germination is nothing but embryo starts growing. So embryo consists of two basic parts. So one part is radicle and another one is plumule. So radicle always grows towards the region of soil. So you can understand here which part is growing towards the soil, that will develops into what? Root. Understood, right? So radicle in the plant, in this embryo, give rise to the formation of root. So in the monocot plant we can find the presence of fibrous root, but in the dicot, in the second picture, we can observe the presence of taproot. That means the mother root is present, the primary root is retained in the plant in case of dicotyledonous, but in case of monocots, the primary root is soon replaced by secondary roots. So that the root in the monocot plant called as fibrous root, and in the dicot the root is called as taproot, because primary root persists for long period of time. But in the monocot, primary root soon replaced by secondary roots. And what about the plumule? So plumule always develops towards the aerial region of the soil. That means it gives rise to stem and leaves. Clear, right? So plumule develops into shoot and radicle develops into root. So this is how the development of young plant takes place by the germination of seed. In case of dicot also, in case of monocot also. But we have the differences in the cotyledon, but the germination of seed will give rise to the formation of young plantlet in the angiosperm. Clear? So in our further class, in our next video, let us focus on the characteristic feature of the angiospermic plant. Clear? So you understand today's video? Yes, I hope you understood today's class. In my next video, I'll continue on the characteristic feature of angiospermic plant. Thank you.